will get you fired if you tell, he threatened. I suppressed a sigh. Shit like this was always happening to me. It was like the universe had stuck an invisible sign on my back, telling everyone to walk all over me. And the worst part was, he probably could get me fired. I pictured the confrontation, loud and exhausting. The kid crying until his outraged parents took down my name and threatened to write a negative Yelp review. The way that somehow, this I knew with total certainty, everything would be my fault. Or I could just pretend it had never happened. The boy was watching me, waiting. Well, his expression seemed to say. My shoulders sagged. Let me know if I can help you find anything, I mumbled. The boy smirked, and I forced my eyes back to my book, trying to ignore him. Except I couldn't concentrate. I was reading the same paragraph for at least the fourth time, when the earth shook violently beneath us. There was a rumble and a tremendous boom. My chair rattled, and I grabbed onto the counter to keep my balance. I watched in horror as the postcard racks toppled like felled trees and the shelves shook, their contents cascading to the floor. "Get under a table!" I yelled, ducking beneath the counter. It's just an earthquake, I told myself, trying not to panic. We'd done earthquake drills in school for as long as I could remember, rolling our eyes each fall as our teachers forced us to squat beneath our desks, heads down, hands protecting the backs of our necks. And every year we brought in personal emergency packs, protein bars, bandages, water pouches, that our homeroom teachers collected and which we never saw again. Sometimes I imagined a gigantic room in the school basement with shelves full of the things, rotting away. Still, all of the earthquakes I'd experienced had been tiny. At worst, a few seconds of swaying, and then it was over. Back to sleep, back to your tests, back to the mile run in gym. But as I ducked under the counter, something told me this was the reason for all those drills. It went on forever, the floor lurching and rolling, the building groaning in this deep, unsettling way. Inside the museum, I heard people shouting. And inside the gift shop, the eraser thief let out a terrified wail. "You okay?" I called. Yeah, he said shakily. "It's going to be fine," I promised, even though I didn't know that. At that exact moment, a light fixture crashed down on top of the cash register. Shards of glass rained to the ground, nipping against my arm. I hadn't expected an earthquake to hurt. I was so surprised by the pain, and by the very real possibility that it might not be fine, that my head banged against the counter, hard. The next thing I knew, the earthquake had stopped, and my ears were ringing. No, the museum was ringing. The emergency alarm flashed from the corner, its warning shrill and insistent. I groaned, pressing the tender place just above my ponytail. My hand came away clean, but my arm was flecked with blood. I had the overwhelming sense that something terrible had happened, but for a moment I couldn't think what. And then the ground lurched again, an aftershock, and I remembered. The alarm blared, my head throbbed, my arms stung. The whole world seemed thick and slow. Plaster dust swirled through the air, like we were caught inside a snow globe. Not that anyone would want a snow globe of a scene like this. I'd seen the displays fall, but somehow, surveying the aftermath, the ruin, made it horribly real. I was shaking shards of glass off my backpack when the kid crawled out from under a table with a muffled cough. He was dusted with plaster, his swagger gone. He looked stunned. "Come on," I told him. The path to the exit was littered with fallen postcard racks and shattered geodes that were no longer worth stealing. But the neon sign still glowed above the door. "Exit through the gift shop," I remembered. This was the only exit. I started clearing.